Otherwise known as Grandpa, or sometimes Dr. J. What we're going to do today is take off the entire rear end of the Spyder. I have a 2011 RTS because the compressor is gone. So we're going to replace it, and the biggest job of it, of course, is taking off the Tupperware. So you're going to see the back end of this Spyder naked. Alright, so here we go. First thing you got to do, make sure the power's off, of course, and then we're going to take the seat off. Okay, take the seat off, very simple. Just go ahead and unlock it so it comes up, and grab a screwdriver and get right in here to the shock down on the bottom. I'm going to get a little closer up here, but this isn't difficult unless you've never done it before. Okay, so hang on. Okay, to get the seat shock off, get a small screwdriver and just stick it right in here by this clip, and you pry the clip out a little bit, raise the seat and push it out. Okay? If you don't try to pry that thing out, you'll never get that clip off without yelling and cussing and screaming. I'm going to show you these clips again because people either get hurt or they mess them up. Okay, right here, there's a slot where you can get a screwdriver right in there, and you pull it back, and what you're doing is you're releasing the fingers that are right there. And once you release those fingers, it pops right off. Okay, next thing you do, there are two bolts back here. Okay, they take a 10mm socket. They're about this long. They've got a captured nut on the other side, but believe me, that nut will fall into one of the black holes. So it's always a good idea to shove some paper or a towel down in the black holes, because you drop something in there, you know it's never coming out. Okay, we're still going to get the seat off, but the first thing you want to do before you do anything down here is cover up the black holes. You got one right here, and you got a couple down here, and believe me, if you drop a screw, they will not fall here, they will not fall there, they will fall right down in the hole. So cover them up now. Just take a rag, shove it down in there, and that's all it's going to take care of that. I'm going to shove a paper towel over here. Just make sure you get it pretty well covered up. Another one right there. Let me grab one more, just to be safe. And I got one over on this side here. Believe me, it's a little extra work, but it's far less work than what it would take if you had to get down in here. Now, if you remember, I said I dropped a bolt. I sure did. And it went down here, behind here. Here's another black hole. But you need to get one of these tools. It is indispensable for working on a Spyder. Flexible neck, magnet. I was lucky I was able to just go down there and fish it right out. It wasn't very deep, but you can't get it with your fingers. So for about $3 or $5, whatever it was, you need it. Now the screw assembly with the nut, here's the split, or here's the nut which will lock in place so it doesn't rotate. And you have this spacer going through the seat, and the assembly looks something like this, of course, with the seat in the middle there. Alright, if you want to get the rear trunk off and the whole rear end, you got to start up here almost toward the front and start with the mirrors. You want to take the mirrors off. What you want to do is just give it a little support right here and pop it toward the rear. That gets the front clip off, and then you pop it up from the bottom. That gets the bottom clip off, and it just lifts off like that. So it's held on here, here, and here. So you get it off this one first, then this one, and then just slide it up. There's just a little catch there that goes right around there. And once you get that off, then you got to go find the plug. And the plug is right here. Lift up on the tab, push it apart, and there's your mirror. Okay, next thing after that is getting off the side covers. Okay, this cover is going to have to be removed so we can access one screw that's on this cover right here. This is a set of pullers for these pins. They're well worth the money. They're less than $10. You can get them anywhere. Harbor Freight has them, I know. You can buy them online. And you just snag the pin and you pull it up, and then your cover will come right off. Yep, comes right off. There we are. I always put the pins right back in there so you don't lose them. Okay, we're going to want to take off the side air wing here, and then you've got some screws here. And you've got the most popular tool is going to be a number 30 Torx. And get yourself some kind of electric screwdriver, okay, because if you're working on these, it's a big time saver. So I'm going to get the mirrors off, or the air panels. One, two screws right there. Okay, I'm going to take off these screws here, one up on top. And notice you've got some screws that are going to have washers. The ones with the washers go on the parts that have slots. The washers cover up the slots. Okay, that we need to get the front open. Front gets opened up, and we're all set there. We got that one. Let's see, we got them all. Yeah, so got them all there. And now get this one in the back. I don't know if you can see it. That comes off. And before you pull that panel, we got to go down here and get the panel that covers your oil service area. So we take that off by wiggling down here. Don't start up here. Okay, you can wiggle over here. There's one. And there's two there. There's one there, and then a tab. One thing, some people put some grease or oil on their grommets. That's a good way to lose a panel, because I know, okay, this sucker was about $300 between this piece and the chrome pieces. So I don't grease my grommets anymore, but I did tether them right here. Okay, so if it falls off, it's going to dangle. It might get beat up, but $300, I don't want to lose this sucker. Okay, now we're going to get this panel out of there. And it's going to come off because you got these screws here. These are Torx screws with anti-tampering devices in them. Do not unscrew them. They just come right off like that. And like I say, you got this one screw right here that's going to get you. The panel itself will now just lift off, and there you have it. Okay, so that's one panel there. Okay, next panel you want to get off is this one right here. Okay, are we too close? Yeah, we're doing pretty good there. And one thing you got to do, you got to open up your side cover, side compartment, and grab your tool again. There's going to be 3 screws right here, right on the side panel. Okay, notice these do not have washers. Those are not slotted holes. Okay, another one right down here. Okay, one screw right here. It comes off. And down around here, you got a screw. This one's tight. Got a push pin right here. Push pin comes out. And just so happens that down here, I've got highway pegs. I've got a bolt here that's got to come off. It comes out. Highway pegs will dislodge there, and that panel is about ready to pull out. So just grab it, and there she goes. Okay, now we go and do the same thing on the other side. That gets all your side panels off. Okay, so we've got all the side covers off on the left side and the right side, and we're getting down to business here. So we've got to take off the retaining screw on the battery access compartment and the retaining screw on the audio access compartment. Okay, so we'll just get in there and take that one out. And once you take that off, we'll have to get that plug unplugged there. And we get this one off. And we're all set. We got those two. And this one should come right out also. So there we go. And of course you got wires on the bottom. I have to take them off. So taking off those wires, that's not a big deal. They got a plug right here. Pull the tab back and push it back. That's one. I guess we have a small shop here. I trip over everything, but hey, it's my shop. I like it. It's set up the way I need it. And we get a bunch of stuff done right here. Anything from computer repair to Tupperware replacement. Okay, now there's a left-hand ground strap located right under here on the left side of the bike. Here's the battery, and right under there with a let's see what this is, 13mm socket. And we just get in here and take off that ground strap. Yeah, it's on a nice size bolt. And there she is, and there's your ground strap. That goes right onto the frame. That's really important. When you put this back together, make sure you put that ground strap back on. Okay, right down here next to the battery on the left side of the bike, there's 3 connectors. I've got 2 that are used, one is not. The one that's not used, I believe, is just a accessory connector. It comes out, and what you got to do is just wiggle it a little bit, and it'll pull right off of a retainer that's down here. Now you can pop that retainer out if you want, but otherwise it just comes out like that. The others you lift right up here, and just like any other, find the lock and press the lock down and pull her on out. And there you are. That's that connector loose. So we're all set. Now right down here, you've got a lateral retaining screw. And there's one on this side, right here, and one on the other side. So we're going to take them out. Okay, now it's got the screw with a washer with a retaining clip right here to hold everything together. And there is a one of those spring retaining nuts. you got one of these nuts behind there, and sometimes it falls out, sometimes it doesn't, but there it is. You know what it looks like. Okay, the last set of bolts that I believe we need to take off are going to be these 4 top retaining bolts up here. Okay, 13 millimeter socket should do it. They tend to be rather snug, so maybe a little ratchet like this not a great idea, but we'll give it a try. Oh yeah, they're snug. Okay, yeah, that's balancing out there. Also, this thing is heavy. You're going to need help taking this off, so don't try to do this yourself. Now, remember I said those 4 bolts were probably the last things I had to take off? Well, I'm just like Columbo. Just one more thing, one more question. You got the Schrader valve here. It's got to come off, because it's got the tube going down by the compressor. It comes off easy. Get a 11 millimeter open end wrench. Just put it right here in this nut and just give it a little twist. And it's keyed right in there. And now you can wiggle it down, and there it is. It's off. Now, one other thing, when you're working on this system, make sure you got the air out of the system. And here we go. Let's press down on it a little bit. Easier said than done. Get the air out. You don't want anything popping on you and getting you hurt. It's not worth it. But now it's time to go get the neighbor, my buddy Steve. He's going to help me get this off. I just haven't told him yet. Okay. Last bolt loose. Okay, well. Good. Okay, next thing we've got to take off is this flash guard down here, and it's held on with 4 push pins. Just pull them on out. Handy dandy pliers there. Oop, drop that one. That's okay. Good deal. One more right by the battery. Now, normally I would have taken the battery out, but this job doesn't really require it. I'll be regretting that, I'm sure, someday. And the splash guard just slides right out of this puppy. Not hard at all. Get it off to the side, and that will give you clearance to get in there to see that pesky little pump, which was the whole idea of draining the swamp. Okay, going to give you a little tour down here. What we've got here is the link that goes from the swing arm up to the sensor that will detect the level, and we don't have to take that off, okay, but it's located there. This is something you've got to be real careful of when you're taking the swing arm down. Disconnect it, otherwise you'll be replacing other parts. Okay, other thing here is the compressor's right there. It's held on by those 2 bolts right there. Nothing special about that. You got a wire tie holding on a cable. We can take care of that in short order. And coming over here at the end of the compressor, you've got this extension here. Now, to me, that looks like the check valve. I'm very sure it is. And it's very important that you put a check valve back on your new pump. My pump came with one, so I'm all set. Okay, so we're going to start taking that apart. Okay, I'm going to take off the fitting right here first. I'm going to use an 11 millimeter and then a 9/16 wrench. Sort of an odd combination, but that's what seems to fit here. And whenever you're doing that, always grasp on both sides of the threads there. You don't want to just twist one of them. And of course, put the correct size of the wrench on there. There we go. And just give it a little twist. And also remember, as we did yesterday, we led the air out of the system. You don't want to do this with air in the system. Okay, we've got that hose off. We're going to take off the two bolts down on the bottom there, and they are 10 millimeter. So we're going to get them off here. Wrench on the back there. They have this thing hooked in there. Okay. That's off. And the only thing left, what they had here is this clamshell type clamp. And it goes up into slots up on the frame, and then the compressor goes between them and the bolts squeeze them together. Clever little compact thing. Okay, then we got to get out the electrical connector. There you go. Of course, the crazy part about this is the piece that goes to the compressor is actually tied in to the frame. Let me get that out of there. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to leave that attached because we're going to cut this cable anyhow. And I'm going to leave it attached, and then I'll put my splice in while it's still in the bite. Here we go. Right about in the middle there, and the middle there. And there we are. Success. Downright marvelous. I'll tell you, that's a lot of work. Okay, a couple things I want to point out. Here's the old compressor right here. Okay, and this is a check valve. You can always tell when an extension is a check valve because it's going to have arrows on it. And these arrows are pointing this way, which makes sense because the air comes out of here and goes into the system. On the new compressor, and this is a 97C, I forgot what brand it is, but I'll get to those details in a minute. There's a check valve in it also. It's right here. But notice they're facing the opposite way. Okay, what we've got to do is we've got to turn this unit 180 degrees so it points this way, because the clamp has to grab here, and if you don't turn this, you can't get this back on the clamp. So that's what we got to do next. And I'm grabbing my handy dandy set here of Torx wrenches and Allen wrenches that I got from my buddy Bill Brown from Matco Tools. It's a nice little set. Okay, it's got the security bits, and it's got the American Phillips, and it has the JIS Phillips in there, and some straight, and yeah, pretty good set. Comes with this extension, and I also got it on special. I got this ratcheting handle here, so pretty cool set. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's get a Allen wrench in here. That looks too big. There we are. I'll stick it on this handle here. And loosen her up. Whenever you're doing something like this, this has to seal correctly. So don't just take one screw off right away. Walk them off just like you would walk them on. It's just good practice. I've been doing this for a long time, and believe me, a little bit of caution goes a long way. And looks like I'm being overcautious, but hey, that's life. There it is. There's your got your pistons, got a little reed valve in there. Nice little compact unit. We'll put it back on, just like this. No big fancy stuff. This one on. I love doing this sort of stuff. The reason you do this is either it's fun, or you can't find anybody around that can do it. You got to do it yourself, or you don't have anybody you can trust, okay, which ends up being a big problem in the auto repair business. It's the most mistrusted business in the world. Okay? Everybody thinks they're going to get ripped off. Yeah, and there are some bad guys around. A lot of it ends up being that people just don't realize what it takes to fix something. And let's face it, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But this is my little tinkering shop. I say I'll fix about anything. And this Spyder's become a real project. I call it Project X. Everybody has a name for their Spyder. And Project X works for me because I never know what the heck I'm going to do with it next. Yeah, I got that problem with the throttle body that everybody keeps replacing them. There's nothing wrong with those throttle bodies. Okay, it's just a wiring problem. But if you don't know sophisticated electrical troubleshooting, you're not going to find the problem. Okay, that looks pretty good. Cross it when you're torquing them down. You go for a final feel, and that's it. No big deal. Okay, next thing we're going to do is actually just put the thing on there. Okay, and you got to have this rubber gasket around here, or boot, whatever you want to call it. I assume our British buddies would call it a boot. Is it just a thingamajig? Highly technical term. Okay, and the other problem is this compressor is larger in diameter. Okay, so what happens now is you're going to need longer screws to mount it. Okay, which presents a problem. I didn't go get longer screws because I didn't know how long they had to be. But, let's take a look here. There. These are real short. They'll never fit with this one. So I'm gonna go see what I have in the parts bin back here. See you in a minute. Now, for you folks who want to see what's wrong with this compressor, it's really so simple. It really kills me here. The motor works. It just didn't drive the piston. You take this apart, it's got 4 screws there, and you can see what'll happen. This is nice and loose, and this will come right out, and there it is. What's happened is there's a shaft coming from the motor. It's got a flat side, and there's a set screw, and the set screw is just not clamping on that flat. So the shaft was turning, and the piston was not going up and down on the crank. So really not much wrong with this thing. I really didn't need to buy a new one, but I wasn't going to take this all apart and find out I need a new one. So I'm going to put this on the shelf. I'm going to make this my spare, should I ever need one, and I'm going to put the new one in the bike. So there we are. What a chintzy little piece of you know what. But that's life. And there's no way you could fix it on the bike. So got all this work to do just for a stinking little set screw. And BRP, if you're looking at this video, you may want to make a note of it. Anyhow, when you do this, make a good connection, because you've got to splice in here. I'm using solder and heat shrink. If you use crimp connectors, you've got to have a good high quality crimping tool. These things you buy for $15, they just don't cut it. Unless you're looking at a tool that costs at least $50 or $100, just do the soldering, because you'll end up doing this job twice when you get the corrosion. Okay, so now we're going to try to put this back in the machine. Okay, here we have the pump installed. I didn't videotape me struggling to get it in there, but it's sitting in there now. Here's the pump, and the check valve, of course, was reversed, and this line is going to go right over here. Okay, and that'll be our air line. The problem I've got here is the brake hose coming down from the reservoir, okay, is pressing hard against the pump. This pump is longer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect this hose, put a splice in it, make it a little bit longer so that it comes up along the side instead of pushing on the sharp edge here. Okay, you just don't want something like that rubbing hard against something that vibrates. Okay, but I used all the original hardware, okay, except for these screws. These screws are quite a bit longer. Okay, one thing you want to do, you want to make sure you use locking nuts. The screws I have are 6mm, which take a 10mm wrench, and the original nuts that were on there are the ones I'm using. They have dimples on them. They're compressing against the thread, so they aren't going to back out. Okay, very important to do that. You don't want this thing sitting in here and flopping around and then coming out and creating havoc. Okay, the connector for the power is here now, and I'm going to take that. I'm going to strap it right up to this bolt, and we'll have that where it's easier to get to. Also, like I said, this piece here was into the frame, and that just wasn't the way it had to be. And that's it. Okay, so let me get a couple little housekeeping things taken care of and get that hose taken care of, and we'll continue on. Okay, we've got our splice in here. I just had to extend this hose just a little bit just to get it around that corner. It's not really touching, okay, so we're safe there. And that's brass. We've got a good clamp on here, good clamp on there. Only thing is, of course, when I open up this line right here, we drained out the fluid from the front reservoir, and we're going to have to bleed the brakes, but they needed it anyhow. Air line's connected, and back over here, underneath here, you can see we have a strap going around there holding the wires in place. We've already tested electrically that it works. So now it's time to start putting this sucker back together. Okay, see you in a little bit. Okay, what we're going to put on now is the splash guard. So it goes on with the four push pins. But a couple things you got to watch out for. You got to get the hoses up in this channel up here. Okay, and also there's 3 clips, or not clips, but just guides, or whatever you want to call them, fingers, that go right on the back of the rectangular tube of the frame. You got to get them in there so it holds it up. Okay, so now okay, putting the seat back on requires a little bit of finesse. On each side of the hinge here, you should have a spacers of some sort. Mine are aluminum. This seat I bought secondhand, so I'm not sure what the originals look like. But they go right in here like this. And the other one is right in here like this. Okay, and then you... Okay. On here, you got to get the bushing straight, start sliding it in. Okay, that's in there. Take a screw or bolt, put it in there, that goes right through. That was a minor miracle. Let's hope for another miracle. There we go, that one's through. That. Now, put the cylinder back on. Just lift it up here and pop on one end. I'm going to do the bottom first. The top is right here. And there it is. Closes, she opens, she stays up. Beautiful. Only other thing you got to do now is take your plug for your seat switch and plug it right in the bottom here, and there you got it.